Warning! Spoilers! This is part 2 of a 3-part series. Click on the iCard to watch the previous episode. So, for a lightning quick recap. Previously on part 1, Yuji ate the finger and died, though in 2 different time frames. Gojo goofily bullies Sukuna, Megumi is cool, and Nobara is crazy. So, our duo trained for the exchange event along with the second years. Maki Zane, a greenhead who's a cursed tool expert, a panda who can turn into Godzilla, gorilla, and Toge Inumaki, an onigiri menu book who has one of the most OP power, Siri voice command. Meanwhile, Yuji is inside Sukuna's innate domain. Oh, by the way, innate domain is this metaphysical territory that exists within its creator's mind. Imagine Sherlock's mind palace or Kurama's sewer prison. So Sukuna and Yuji made a pact about how Sukuna can take control of Yuji's body for a full minute, but he can't kill or hurt anyone. Then Yuji is revived. And instead of, quickly letting your mourning friends know that you're alive, he went through a comedic training arc first by watching emotion-inducing movies without losing control of his cursed energy. I especially love the fact that he yada-yadas over other anime references, and even Jennifer Lawrence got a couple of mentions throughout the series. Meanwhile, Gojo himself is attacked by Jogo, a special grade cyclops with a Coca-Cola bottle head who used his domain expansion to overwhelm him. Oh, by the way, domain expansion is this OP barrier technique that constructs physical environment using cursed energy that reflects the user's own innate domain. It's like the most supreme ability of any Jujutsu user because it greatly amplifies any attack and the accuracy is 100% guaranteed. But the balance patch nerf is on how hard it is to reach this level and have the sheer amount of energy to manifest the technique in the first place. So, with flourish and beauty, Gojo pulled down his eye mask and behold, the most beautiful crystal blue eye that must have taken the majority of the anime budget alone. He used his own domain expansion to easily counter the mini volcano's spirit's own explosive domain. Gojo's domain is called Limitless. Basically, what it does is flooding the enemy with endless information, rendering them immobile. Wait. So his domain is the literal manifestation of too much information. Hilarious. Jokes aside, the visuals here are amazing. It's like space and ink, and it's breathtaking. I tried to convey a similar vibe through my redraw, but I am nowhere close in conveying the grandness of it. Especially the absolute Chad, Gojo himself, with his eyes finally exposed. It's just beautiful, you guys. Good to know the series knows how effective Gojo is as eye candy. And also good to know we don't have to watch hundreds of episodes first to get a full face reveal. I am looking at you, Kakashi. In the next arc, another badass character appeared and his name is Nanami Kentaro, an ex-salaryman first-grade Jujutsu sorcerer who decided to help others and become a sorcerer instead of continuing his empty life of working at a scamming job for money. His bits about overtime jokes are both depressingly hilarious and painfully relatable. Anyways, after all the human transfiguration theatrics, Nanami fights a cursed spirit soul shaper created from people's fears and despair called Mahito, clearly the antagonist with the cliche goal of world domination. I mean, the eradication of humanity and ultimately replacing the population with cursed spirits. And also, all humans is trash. Like I said, cliche. During their battle, Nanami realizes that the transfigured humans Mahito uses against him are actually still alive and is suffering from his soul-shaping ability. So, in anger, he wins and Mahito escapes. Meanwhile, Yuji became friends with Junpei, a morally grey emo high schooler who met the clearly dangerous Mahito earlier. Junpei approached him and even asked to be taught on how to control cursed energy. Boy, you're gonna regret that. Because Mahito instigated Junpei's mom's homicide in order to manipulate the revenge fight between Yuji and him, which our boy Yuji won without falling for Mahito's twisted plans. After Junpei's demise, Mahito and Yuji fight, with Nanami arriving to assist. We also got to see Mahito's domain expansion that traps Nanami and almost ruined his soul if Yuji didn't break in from the outside. By the way, Mahito's domain is such a pain to draw with all the handy action, just like the hand demon I drew on my Demon Slayer episode. Ross Senpai would 100% share my sentiment. Oh, by the way, Mahito escapes again. Goodness, he's so slippery. The next arc then commences with the villain curses preparing to ambush the exchange event tournament. But before that, behold, drama. Turns out, the Kyoto students are told to kill Yuji by their own principal Gakuganji, who Gojo defied earlier on in previous episodes. But Kyoto's ambush didn't work because the Tokyo students already suspected and planned their strategies accordingly. I'll be jumping back and forth with the different battles like the anime did, so hopefully you won't get confused. Yuji proceeded to fight Todo, a surprisingly likable brute who has both brawn and brains, and also Yuji's future best friend and Burada. Meanwhile, Megumi fights Noritoshi, the presumed leader of the Kyoto branch, and our greenhead Maki faces off against Kasumi, the useless sword user. In very shonen fashion, the fight between our bestu furendo duo, Yuji and Todo, becomes an impromptu teaching, learning, and bonding session. I honestly really like Todo as a character. He plays into and breaks character stereotypes at the same time. Back to the story, Panda fights Mekamaru, a creepy mechanical puppet controlled remotely by a sorcerer whose true body is barely able to function. And here, we learned about Panda's backstory. Turns out, he is a cursed corpse carried by the doll-making principle. And he also has a total of 3 personalities that he can switch between, and it's his gorilla personality that emerges victorious against Mekamaru in this battle. Meanwhile, Kasumi, the everyman of the Kyoto group, loses against Maki, even though she only relies on her immense physical combat prowess. This is because Maki doesn't have cursed energy powers like the others. So she's like the fusion of Tenten and Rock Lee, which is very neat. At the same time, Nobara whack-a-mole Momo, the witch-like sorcerer, but her victory was cut short due to my kill stealing from afar. Girl, that's bad game etiquette that would warrant you a less than stellar response in League or Dota. Oh, and by kill stealing here, I mean KO stealing. Don't worry, she's not dead. She's not Yuji. Maki then fights Mai, and there is a flashback that explains how the apparently twin sisters suffer in their clan of birth, the Zane clan that causes their bad blood. Maki then wins their battle by literally catching a bullet made out of cursed energy with her bare hands. If she led the clan, she would totally rule it with an iron fist. Anyways, switching back to Megumi and Noritoshi's intense fight, our Onigiri menu book, Toge, uses his power and saves them from Hanami, one of the special great cursed spirit villains who has the power of trees. Imagine Senju Hashirama if he was a passionate environmentalist with the body of a pro wrestler who hasn't come out into the sun after a bad tattoo paint job. He also has these freaky tree horns growing where your eyes should be. Coraline would be quite horrified. Oh, also he has the voice of a noble lady. And this is part 2. The final part, part 3, will be out next week. I know I stopped at a weird place, but it can't be helped.